This week on the big show, it's the final show of the year. Charles Kirkland and I will discuss several movies that we did not get an opportunity to talk about last week, including Marty Supreme, Avatar, Fire and Ash. Um, God, it's one more.
Song Sung Blue.
That one. And plus, we'll talk about the major losses that we suffered this week before as the year comes to the close, of course, with Isiah Whitlock Jr. and of course gospel heavyweight like Richard Smallwood. So we'll have all that and more on the latest episode of Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. Let's go. All right, and welcome to the special last episode of 2025 of Keeping It Real with Film Gordon. I am Tim Gordon, sporting my shirt courtesy of Universal Pictures. Thank you for the super dope Wicked hoodie. And joined alongside Charles Kirkland Jr., who decided not to wear his. Charles, I know you got this, man. I was happy.
Okay, first of all, for some reason they never send me the correct size. So when I got it, it got claimed by other members in the family because I because it doesn't fit me. So thank you, Warner Brothers, for not giving me a Wicked sweatshirt.
Sir,
However, I've been working the Wicked stage play the last week, so I got my own Wicked stuff from the original, the home source.
you are a hater, first
Finally,
of all. First,
let me finish. I spoke
uh,
with the board of directors, and they have agreed to rename the show. They're going to put my name up first. It's going to be Keeping It Real with Kirkland and Film Gordon, and so we're relabeling the show. I'll put it up on the wall.
quick correction for Charles Kirkland Jr. that it's Universal that sent these out, not Warner Brothers.
Oh yeah,
Warner
you're
Brothers,
you're correct. You're
Warner
correct.
Brothers, no comment. For all the love that all the critics across the country gave Sinners and one battle after another. Um, to Charles's point, Charles called me up and said they sent us an album from Sinners where the best song in the movie is not on the album, which I was like, I'm confused. I was like, so maybe there was some rights issues. I don't know what happened, man, but it is awfully strange, I'll just say, to have an album. It would almost be like just pick any artist, man. Like buying a Prince album, buying Purple Rain, and it was called Purple Rain, but Purple Rain wasn't on the album.
Wasn't on the soundtrack.
Very
No
strange,
good.
very strange, but we'll talk about that more. We got Song Sung Blue, Avatar, Fire and Ash, and Marty Supreme. We're gonna hit those later on, but let's just jump in, man, and talk about this week, man. Two incredibly huge losses, man. Isiah Whitlock Jr., who I remember Charles hit the scene with Spike Lee years earlier, and I can't remember which film it was that he did with Spike, but he had a very elongated way. His trademark was saying a expletive, but being able to stretch it out. And then he later went and did it on The Wire, right? Or maybe he did it on The Wire first and then came to Spike and did it. I know Spike Lee was a part of the Isiah Whitlock journey, but he was also on The Wire. And colorful character, man, made sure that he brought some Isiah Whitlock to every role he played. And that's not a bad thing. If you've got a persona that works, you milk that persona for all it's worth, man. Isiah Whitlock, 71 years old, passed away. Charles, when you got the news about Isiah Whitlock Jr., what did you think about?
Well, the first thing that came across my mind was it was the second wire death in a week because we had what's his face died like 4 days earlier. The white guy. I forgot his name.
Oh yeah,
Anyway,
yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah. I forget the character, the guy's name, but yes, he is the second Wire death within a week. So, well, I mean,
so yeah, it was kind of, but having never watched an episode of The Wire, that's not where I know Isiah Whitlock from. I know him from, from all the other stuff that he's done. So yeah, it's a big loss, and uh, it was troubling at the time because I was like, well, okay, first it's the second Wire person, but it was the second big figure that died on that day, and so I was like, oh man, it's not a good day, not a good day.
yeah. Well, I mean, we're gonna get to the other figure in a minute, man, because as much as I loved Isaiah Whitlock and valued him for his contributions, and we do. If you are a fan of gospel music, right? And I'm talking about urban contemporary gospel, which crossed went across the board. So it was mainstream gospel as well. And if you lived in the DMV, which we do, Dr. Richard Smallwood transitioned yesterday. And man, I don't know why. It's so funny sometimes, Charles, because we're in the business and you'll shoot me emails, when people pass, and sometimes it's like, oh man, that's sad. And then the other times, man, when you hear people transition, and I can't explain why it is. It's just something it you hear it, and then it audibly sends you back in time, right? Where you think through certain stuff. I remember, like, before we get to Smallwood, I remember where I was. I was in my house in 2016, like mid-evening. It had to be about 5 or 6 o'clock at night when they announced that Maurice White died. And I can't explain to you why.
Yeah.
I shed a tear when Maurice White
Right.
died. And I think I shed a tear because Earth, Wind, and Fire, what that group meant to us as a culture, Prince and Michael Jackson, of course, yes. You sad when that, but like Maurice White of all people, right? I was like,
Mm.
why am I sitting here crying over Maurice White? And you think about Reasons and Gratitude, all these albums, all this music, and it was the same way with Richard Smallwood yesterday. And I think I wrote a post, and I'm going to pull it up and read it because this, normally I will just say I usually get help in writing posts, which Charles always teases me about, like I'm getting help. I ain't get help for the Richard Smallwood yesterday because I had to write from the heart, right? And this is what I wrote about Richard Smallwood when I posted yesterday because I was like, I was feeling out. And it took me a minute because I didn't do it immediately. I did it like hours later because I had to sit on it for a second because I was like deeply moved. And I wrote, Charles, remembering Richard Smallwood, your music carried me through some of my hardest seasons. We never met, but I felt your spirit, your compassion, and the power of your anointing in every note. Thank you for pouring out your gift into the world and lifting the broken. May you rest in eternal peace with the Savior. Man, bro, I can't explain to you why Charles came on the day when we was coming on to set up for the call, and I was listening to his music just touches me, man. And like I was telling Charles earlier, I said, man, I've listened to gospel music since I was a kid, man. I grew up in a house with families that listened to, the Swan Silver Claude Jeter and the Swan Silvertones, and the mighty, what was this? The Mighty
Mighty
Caravan,
Clouds of Joy.
yeah, all these groups, man. Nobody made, even James Cleveland, who my father revered, right? James Cleveland played in my house religiously when I was a kid. Nobody made gospel music that sounded like Richard Smallwood. Classical, like to me, he's almost, Charles, like the Quincy Jones of gospel music. The way he would arrange songs and orchestrate it. I told Charles, I said when I was young, I thought Richard Smallwood, I was like, man, these are some good songs. Who are the original? Who made these songs originally? And they were like, oh no, that's his. And I was like, he arranged all of, like, Total Praise is an original song. It is.
It
When you
is.
listen to what was the one that I was just listening to that made me cry? My Everything. I don't know what it is about that song. That song hits me somewhere internally that I can't even explain to you how that music moves me in that way. Huge, huge, huge loss for me personally. And I'm just one of millions of people who love Dr. Richard Smallwood's music. Charles Kirkland.
Look, you mentioned Quincy Jones. The first Dove Award Richard Smallwood won was for Handel's Messiah, and it's really cool. This is right after the holiday, but how many of us know that Hallelujah chorus, that the soulful chorus that he put together working with Quincy Jones, that from that Handel's Messiah? I mean, you hear it all the time. The Hallelujah I mean, it's just been he's been the gospel soundtrack of my life. And again, because I'm right here in Washington D.C., where he originated the Richard Smallwood singers, right here, lived here in D.C. I've always he's always been in my air and in my ears. I just hear him all the time, whether it's the center of my joy or total praise. And he kept doing it. I mean, it wasn't like it was just a one hit wonder like some of these people that come along. He's been doing it for decades, and it's just amazing. And nothing sounds like Richard Smallwood. And you can have all the people that come along with him and sing, whether it's been Yolanda Adams or whomever, but it was always about the orchestration and the vocal arrangements that he created that lifted the entire group. It wasn't always just about one person. It wasn't about Richard Smallwood. He was truly ministering to the world in gospel music and just making it was just amazing. He's amazing and incredible work that he's done over decades of my life. And I mean, and it's a tragic loss. Tragic loss.
Well, man, it's funny. I was thinking about years earlier, man. I was really in a place, man, and I'm talking about maybe 15 years ago. I was really in a bad place, man, out of work, things weren't working out. And I remember listening to Healing.
Hmm.
And man, even before he got to the song, and I was watching the video last night. He talked about kind of the origin of the song, like the live version. Like when I listen to Richard Smallwood's music, I always listen to the live versions, right? Which he performed a lot of times. Some were here in DC, some in Atlanta, some in Detroit, etc. Right? Along with Vision and the Richard Smallwood singers.
Right.
And he's talking about getting a call from a friend of his in beginning of healing, where the friend tells him, Charles, that he lost both his parents in the span of 4 weeks, right? And he was like, "Man, I'm down bad. I'm hurting. Do you have anything for healing?" Right? And he was like, "Nah, I don't." And he said, Let me pray on it." And he said he prayed, and 2 weeks later he was sleeping, and God gave him this song, right? So as he's setting it up, Charles, the part that got me engaged in the song, he said, Earth has no, what was the phrase? Earth has no pain that heaven can't heal, something to that effect. And I was like, wait, what? So he delivers the song. That's there's a balm in Gilead to heal the soul. And I was like, that song. So that's when I talked about that post yesterday. There have been so many periods in my life where I have just kind of like overdosed on his music, man. Like I'll sit down and listen to it was funny because people talk about trust me. He made I'll trust you and then trust me. So he he did one version from him talking to the Lord, and then the second version from the Lord talking back to him. I'll fight your battles. Man, this dude,
How about
he
that?
he
Hmm.
had a way of taking things that were scripture and then articulating them in a very classically trained, very wonderfully orchestrated way. We always say, Charles, people's art will live on like long after they're gone. Like his movie will live on. No, Richard Smallwood's music will continue to move people long after you and I and he are long gone. They'll still be playing Total Praise. People will be putting their hands up in church. Bruh, that music, that is an amazing gift. And you talked about it being a tragic loss. I don't think it's a tragic loss, man, because at some point, every man born of woman is gonna die at some point, right?
True.
So we all accept that, right? And at 77 years, man, or at whatever point it is your turn to take that final walk, man. You just hope that you have left something behind, man, to make the world a better place than when you came. Richard Smallwood accomplished that, brother. You could say the same thing for Isiah Whitlock Jr., man. I mean, what he brought was uniquely him. But in the case of Smallwood, man, there's just so much music. And I was thinking about like my top five today. What are your top five Dr.
Oh
Richard
wow.
Smallwood songs?
Okay. Wow, that's a good question because I know Total Praise has got to be there. Um, wow, that's a good question, and I'd have to think on it. I mean, Healing is there. Uh, um, hmm, wow,
So,
yeah,
so, so
yeah.
let me give you mine
Center
real
of my
quick.
joy,
Yeah, I mean, you naming all of mine. I mean, it's total praise, the sin of my joy, my everything. Praise waiteth,
my everything. Oh
healing,
yes,
and trust me. Those are the ones right there. Now, anthem of praise. I'm embarrassed to say this. I've heard this song for years. I had no idea that was a Richard Smallwood song. I was like, he did that too? Wow. Because I've heard that in church a bunch of times. I'm like, praise him. I was like, okay, yeah, all right.
right,
That's
right.
that's Richard Smallwood, man. I mean, we talked earlier about the orchestration, man. Why people love Quincy Jones so much, man. And you and I have talked about it on this show. I never forget, I'm a kid, man, 1979. I'm listening to Give Me the Night. And I'm listening to this song, Charles, and I'm like, something about this song is just different. And then I kept listening to it, and every time I would listen, I would hear, like, what is that? What is it? Like, what is that? Quincy Jones layered these songs in much the same way that Dr. Richard Smallwood layered these arrangements, man. I was listening to The Center of My Joy. And of course, he starts off, it's all Richard Smallwood. He's on the piano, man. He's singing this song, and all these people are sitting there. You don't know that that's the choir, right? So the choir starts singing. And then at the end, for just no reason other than that Richard Smallwood wrote it this way, after they've gone through Jesus, you are the center, and then they go, I'm like, where'd that come from? The mind of Richard Smallwood and how he arranged all this music. So I know I might not like there's people sitting at home now going, why is he going on and on about Richard Smallwood? He was incredibly significant in the world of gospel music and incredibly influential in the two people talking about him and the stories that we're repeating. I promise you, Charles, when I show up at church this weekend, guess what? There's going to be a lot of playing at church this weekend. A lot of Richard Smallwood. We're going to be sitting there total praising. We've been doing all of this stuff all over again this weekend in churches across the country. We'll have tributes to Richard Smallwood. So, Richard Smallwood, like I said, man, passed because of kidney failure yesterday at the age of 77, which ironically, Charles, I told you he passed about 10 minutes from where I'm sitting right now. So he was literally
Hmm.
right down the street. Richard
Yeah,
Smallwood, man.
yeah.
God, I guess, needed that voice up there, and he's there doing his thing right now.
I can truly believe that God is saying, "Well done, my good and faithful servant."
Amen,
And
man.
yeah, yeah.
All right, brother. So, like I said, man, let us move on, man. It's the last show of the year. We weren't here a week ago. It was Christmas. We didn't get a chance to talk about several movies. But before we get into movies, man, we're about 24 minutes in. Um, let's talk a little bit about this year in cinema, man, and television, Charles. What are you feeling, man? Good year, bad year, more the same? What are you thinking?
It was an interesting year because we had a lot of things that came kind of snuck up on us. We didn't have like the one major blockbuster that really rocked the cinematic world, but we had a lot of little hits and a lot like we've talked about Warner Brothers, we talked about Neon, we've had all these little things. There have been a lot of little hits, and to be honest, I was looking at the box office the market record. this year is up, and it's still not, it's up over last year by a couple percent, but it's still we still haven't gotten back to the $12 billion box office that we had before the pandemic. I There was a lot of interesting things, a lot of, and I talked about this on my show. There were a lot of interesting little one shots where you got a re-release of this film and a re-release of that film that tops the charts, and so it was just a different year for films. We didn't have, like I said, we didn't have that one major blockbuster that rocked the world, but we just had a lot of interesting stuff that came out. So I thought I thought it was a good year cinematically for the.
Well, I think no, no, I didn't mean to cut you off. I thought you were
No, no,
done.
no. Go ahead.
I was gonna say, I think the more I think about it, man, it was a very interesting year. But and I know we've talked about it ad nauseum. I just can't get over the fact of just how influential Sinners was this year. Because it was clearly something that I anticipated. And a lot of times, Charles, you know this to be true that when you anticipate something or look forward to it so much, it doesn't meet it doesn't measure up to what you think it should be, right? It's like, oh man, yeah, maybe I just went in too hot and it wasn't as good as what I thought it was.
Yeah, yeah.
Sinners kind of 20 minutes in, and I've said this a bunch of times, 20 minutes in, man, I was like, oh, this movie's not only is good, but I got to see it again. And I've seen it 10 times. And a lot of that 10 is the 6 times at home that I've watched it. I keep turning people on to it, so people keep talking to me about it. I was at a Christmas Eve party a week ago, talking to somebody who was like, "Man, I haven't seen Sinners," and I was telling him the story, and he was like, "Man, maybe I need to come over to your house, and it could be number 11 to watch Sinners." So I have not watched it again, and that person subsequently saw it without me. But I think through the best films of the year, we're going to talk a little bit about Marty Supreme a little later on. One Battle After Another is clearly another movie that moved the needle. We were at Sundance earlier this year, and I got a chance to see Train Dreams, which was a movie that stuck with me. Hamnet, which I saw in Toronto, sort of stuck with me as well. And I'm trying to think Rental Family, which I didn't get a chance to see until I was in Middleburg, another film festival, stuck with me. But for the most part, man, I guess I've gone through and coming into next year in 2026 will be my 34th year as a film critic. Insane to say. 34, it'll be the beginning of my 34th cycle as a film critic. And I think a lot of times what you hear from me, which I like Charles's perspective, because Charles is still kind of growing in the game. I'm sort of like at an established position. So I talk from like a seniority level that
Right.
to me, I'm like, I've seen some films, Avatar was cool, and it was cool to see some of these movies early in the year, but I'm looking for the true culture changers, and that's why I fixate so much on that poster over my shoulder of Sinners, man. But Charles, I appreciate you, man. I mean, I thought we had a good year. We didn't do the 50 shows that we should have done. I know we did not because there were gaps in our flow this year. So we got to get back to having more consistency. Neither of us are going to Sundance, and probably for obvious reasons, I'm not covering Sundance for the first time in like 14 to 15 years. So it's going to be very interesting as this is also their last year in Park City before they move to their new permanent home in Boulder after 40 years. So there's a
Yeah.
lot of change afoot. God willing, we hope to return back to Toronto, getting ready for Light Reel, going back to Middleburg, and some other things that are going to be happening that we will announce. But yeah, man, I don't know, man. I just think that every year each year has its own identity, and I know next year it was a quiet year on the Marvel front. Marvel put out 3 projects, but I don't think any of them really, as they would say, slapped. None of them were really like off the hook. Like Fantastic Four was okay, not really
Yeah.
great. Thunderbolts came and went. Uh, Brave Captain America, Brave New World came and went. So Marvel is already setting the table by having these announcements of these former Avengers who will return for Avengers Doomsday. So we know that Steve Rogers is going to come back. We also just learned that Thor will come back. They told us that Robert Downey Jr. is coming back, but he is not coming back as Iron Man. He is coming back as Doctor Doom, which I think is a little strange to me, Charles.
I'm sure they're going to explain it somehow, but have you watched the trailers? They just dropped the well, it's the second trailer for Doomsday they just dropped.
I did not see
Uh,
the second trailer. I just saw the Chris Hemsworth is coming back as Thor trailer,
okay,
and I
yeah,
also saw the one with what's the name? What would be cool is, Michael B. Jordan did it in Sinners. Why can't Robert Downey Jr. play Iron Man and Doctor Doom? Because you can always explain away in the multiverse that, just because somebody died, they can always come back. That I think would be off the hook if you could do that. Like, oh damn. Now, now watch this. That I don't get excited over much. That would get me excited if Iron Man and Doctor Doom could be played by Robert Downey Jr., but he probably want too much money. No, I need some Iron Man money, I need some Doom money, and then I need some back end money. Come on, RDJ. Come on, man. Back up off us, man. But so that's my thought, Charles.
the
Uh
funny thing about it is we got to wait the whole year. It's not coming out till December of next year, so we're
eh,
gonna.
watch this. Not really. Because you gotta wait to September, because we're gonna put back in the theaters in game, right? And then now I'm gonna tell you something. I get on Marvel, and we have been, kicking Marvel for a couple of years now because phases and everything that happened after Endgame. Look, Charles, up and down. Like there was a lot of
Pretty
like we
much,
had to
yeah.
sit through Quantumania, bruh. Oof, that was bad. So
And,
what
and at
they've
one time you
done.
would have said, "Oh well." At one time you might have said, "Oh well, at least the TV stuff is good." But then the TV stuff started going too. It was
So
like,
so watch this. What does Marvel do, Charles? We go back to the well when we were at our best, we were at our most successful, right? We now tie Doomsday into Endgame, which does two things, right? It literally tells us that the last 5 years, man, that's none of that stuff means anything. Am I wrong? Like we're gonna sweep the last 5 years away and take you from 2019 to 2020. And actually, not even the last 5 years, because what it was 2019 was Endgame, right?
yeah.
Damn. So the last 7 years, eh, look over here. Get these 7 years out the way. That is a cold strategy, but I think it's brilliant and smart. Not only do they sweep the last 7 years away, Charles, we bring back some of the characters from the 2019 universe and bring them up in here. So now you're not thinking about Black Panther anymore. You're not thinking about Shang-Chi. There's a lot of stuff you're not thinking about by us going from 2019 straight to 2026. So it's a genius strategy. I think, Charles, back in the day, I would have given them a lot more credit in advance that I think it could work. We'll have to see. So I want to see how it pans out. But it's a very interesting strategy to wipe, like how many is that? Three phases they wiping away? Two phases they're wiping away? They're going,
Yeah,
what phase are we in now? We
it'll
in
be two
six?
phases because Endgame was the end of the third phase. So you got the
And
fourth
what
and the
phase are
fifth
we in now?
phase. We just started the sixth phase.
So what happened to 4 and 5?
What are you talking about? I don't know what you're talking about.
What's 4 and 5?
Four or five? I don't,
Well, we needed some of 5 to bring over the Avengers and the Fantastic Four. I mean the Fantastic Four and the X-Men.
the
We
X-Men.
needed we needed some of the 5 in order to do that. But man,
Yeah,
I'm
but
telling you, they really have skipped over 4.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. Fantastic Four is phase six.
Oh, well, never mind. They they wiped out 4 and 5.
They're gone.
Am I right? So you saying Fantastic Four is phase six?
Yes.
Oh yeah, 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 yeah. They really did it to you, man. They took two phases and like so we'll see. I got a feeling though that releasing this movie at the end of the year is done strategically for two reasons, right? Because they could have put this movie in June easily if they were really trying to make money with this. But by putting it in December, Charles, it's a different play because now it opens the door for it to be an awards contender, and it also positions it to be one of the last movies seen because it's not playing Toronto. They're not going to play Doomsday at Toronto. They're not going to play Doomsday at Middleburg. That's not a, those are not, no, Charles, that's a festival. That's not a festival film. They are not going to play. How much you want to bet? I'm telling you now, that movie is not playing at any of the films like AFI, New York. No, 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 no. Okay. I mean, you see what I'm saying? Later
Okay.
on. Remember, go back to this show, the last show of 2025 when we're having this conversation, like 8 or 9 months from now. Like it is not happening. They're not playing a Marvel film in Toronto that's coming out in December. That is not going to happen. It is definitely not playing Middleburg. I'm telling you, no. And I can't see it playing in New York. It's not that kind of film. This is a huge, like probably $400 million budget. If I'm correct, I'm just guessing, Charles, because it's not 200 million. This is, and they're gonna probably use the same strategy with Doomsday and is it Secret Wars, the one after this one?
Right.
They're gonna use the same strategy where they're gonna film them both, edit it, and then show one in 2026, the other in 2027. So that's my best guess based on what Marvel has done in the past with these sorts of films. And it absolutely is not the type of film. Like, have you ever heard of any of these Marvel films playing like these prestigious festivals at any point?
No, not really. No,
I
but
just don't see
things
it,
can.
man. I could be wrong. Watch this. I could be wrong. It's 2026 loading is not there yet, but we can have a different strategy. But that's what I'm thinking coming out the box, man, with these films. And that's probably the most anticipated film of next year. What we also need to research, and I haven't done it yet, is we had a year this year where we had a Spike Lee film, a Ryan Coogler film, a Nia DaCosta film. Those were the big three directors, right? Is there a Steve McQueen, Ava DuVernay, Barry Jenkins, like any of these directors coming out with work next year? I know Antoine Fuqua has Michael coming out, so that's one. But I need to find out which black filmmakers are going to be putting work out next year because those are going to be the stories a lot of times where you're seeing a lot of major star power. Uh, from the community that's going to be in these movies. So, do you have any heads up, Charles, on anybody that has movies coming out other than Fuqua?
I know Barry Jenkins has a TV project coming out. I think I believe it's next year that he's producing. But as far as directing goes, I haven't heard of anything.
Yeah, I mean, I'm very interested in that because, like I said, I think that there's always some stuff coming down the pike. Was there anything announced at Sundance that heralds anybody of stature that has a project coming out? Like, there's no
What's what?
Questlove.
I don't know. What is Sundance? I don't know what you're talking about.
I'm not that bad. I'm not covering it, but I want to know what's that. Charles, what's a Sundance? What? Wow. Wow. So yeah, so to be determined, and I think next week, God willing, if we're when we're back, we'll do our most anticipated, which is normally the show that we kick the year off with. So I want to have an idea of what we're looking at for 2026, so that I can know in advance to how not excited I should be. It's like, man, come on, bro. I mean, Charles. It's the same hamster ride, man. We got to sit through some rom-coms that are going to be stupid. We got to sit through some high concept movies that are going to play in the first, second quarter early on that aren't going to play well. And we have to sit there and try to put lipstick on the pig and tell you at home, "Oh yeah, man, this no, these movies are not good. They're not good." So we'll see. I can be surprised. I like when I'm surprised. That's why I think the Sinners thing and the one battle thing, sent me for a loop because I didn't think there was a lot of great movies this year. I thought there were a lot of good movies, but
And
um,
the funny thing is, as much as we talk about how much we love Sinners, Sinners didn't even break the $500 million mark.
well, Sinners, man, let's be honest, man. Sinners was made for 90. Was it made for 90 or was it made for 60? And no, it was made for I have to go back and look at the budget. I want to say it was 90 and with a budget of, because I keep thinking about 60 and 90. It made 60 its opening weekend. It had a $90 million price tag plus whatever the marketing they spent on it. It has far exceeded that, right? So, the fact that it's over close to 400 million, am I correct?
Yeah, it's about 370 or something like
Yeah,
that, I
so
believe.
so yeah, so it made its money back and then some for Warner Brothers, and along with the other seven number one movies they had this year, with Zach Kreger's Weapons, and you had Paul Thomas Anderson's One Battle After Another, Minecraft, Superman. I think they had some co-production on F1. Warner Brothers had a really good year, bro. They had a really good year. And if this is their last year before they sell, they went out with a bang this year. So, like I said, coming into next year, sure there'll be some surprises because people continue to make movies. The Academy Awards are coming up on year 99, I want to say, because 2027 is the 100th anniversary of the Oscars. So it's going to be very interesting to handicap what's happening because we'll get Oscar nominations in about 3 weeks, Charles, but also to
Mm.
look ahead and project of what we're looking at in 2026 is going to be very, very interesting, man. So yeah, we'll have more of that next week, and for sure we'll talk about Antoine Fuqua and the Michael Jackson film, which I think is going to break the bank. The first quarter this year. It comes out in April, if I'm correct, in the same around the
Yes,
same time
April
slot.
19th or something like
Yeah,
that.
literally almost a year to the date of Sinners, right? Sinners came out like the
Right.
18th this year. So that's a good time spot, man, because again, you get the jump on summer. You get about a good, what is it, 6 weeks, Charles, before, well, actually, you don't even get 6 weeks, you get 2 weeks before the May movies
Before
start to
May.
drop. But
Hmm.
also, if you got a big blockbuster, you're going to be pressing for theater space for at least a good 6 weeks if you can make it happen. Because remember, they're going to start dropping the tent poles the first week of May. If the
First
first
week of
tent
May.
pole doesn't hold, and then it's on to the second tent pole, the second week. At the third week, yeah. So we'll see. But I got a feeling that Michael is going to do his business. Now, it's going to also be interesting, and we'll talk about this too, Charles, when we get closer. That remember, when NATO, the National Association of Theater Owners, get together every year and they're trying to carve out space for their tentpole May, June, July schedule, that helps if the movies that come before it aren't that prosperous because then we have an excuse to take those screens away and give them to the other movies. But if you got a blockbuster like what happened with Sinners early this year, and potentially could happen with Michael, now
It's
we got this
we
crowded
got a
space
log
now
jam going on.
where
No.
they going, you promised me X amount of screens for my movie. Well, we would have gave them to you, but this one is still making money. So it's a wonderfully interesting game that goes on that the consumer never knows about, but we try to alert you about because it's stuff we know, right? So that's 4 months away, man. We'll talk about that. So any closing comments on this, Charles, about what we're anticipating for next week before we start talking about some of these movies today?
I think you got it. Like you said, it's going to be an interesting year. I've been looking around, and there's about 50 movies that they're talking about that are coming out. You know, you got Nia DaCosta's Bone Temple that's coming out next in January, and that's, I mean, who knows? I think the last 28 years later didn't do so well, and so they were kind of scared to do it, and that's why they put it in January. But we'll see. It's Nia DaCosta, so you know it's going to look good. But there's a lot of things that are coming out, so we'll see what happens.
Got you, got you. All right, man. So let us jump in, man. And first to start off with Marty Supreme, man. We didn't get a chance to talk about this, and you reviewed it. Of course, Marty Supreme is it I guess it is based on a true story,
It
right?
is based on a true story.
Yeah, because there's a real guy who's the inspiration for Marty Supreme. But one year after dazzling audiences as Bob Dylan in A Complete Unknown, Timothy Chalamet comes back. Now, was there a Dune early this year? Because I'm confused. Because this whole Dune thing throws me off. Was Dune last year or was Dune sometime this year?
Dune was last year.
Dune was last year. All right. So Timothy Chalamet comes back this year after doing double dipping with Dune Part Two and A Complete Unknown, and now he is taking on a character in Marty Supreme. Um, and in a movie from this one is from Josh Safdie. Am I correct?
Right.
Okay. And story of a man who is tremendously talented and skilled in being a table tennis or ping pong player, but let's just call it what it is. He is an awful human being. He's an awful human being. And that's my setup, Charles. You reviewed this movie, man, so I'll let you go first, man. What did you think about Marty Supreme?
Thought it was a very compelling watch. I'll say this because the whole time you're watching this movie, and this guy is just, I mean, like you said, Marty Mauser was based on the gentleman called Marty Reisman, who lived back in the 50s, and it was an actual ping pong champion and hustler. He hustles everybody in this film, and had with no little or no regard to who he's hustling or why he's hustling, and he really gets away with it, which is kind well, there is some comeuppance for him, but it is really compelling, and I guess it's also the way Josh Safdie's is like manic in the way he creates the film. That there's this energy that goes on as you're watching it, and you're looking for things to happen, and you know it's just Timothy Chalamet is incredible. Josh Safdie does his duty in directing this thing. It's a really I want to say fun, but it's not fun. It's just really aggravating as you're watching it. But there's no way you can stop looking at this spectacle that you see in front of you of this guy who believes he's the best ping pong player in the world. And I keep saying ping pong, but I'm really disrespecting it. When I went to college, I used to go with people who played table tennis I mean, for real. And then, matter of fact, my roommate was the table tennis champion or whatever for on the university level. So I can't say ping pong. You gotta say table tennis, otherwise you're disrespecting the sport. But he really believes he's the best table tennis player in the world, and he's going to do everything he can just to prove that he is the best. Come hell or high water, he's going to do it. And yeah, it's an incredible movie. I really enjoyed watching it, even though it was just. I don't know how it can be so much fun to watch somebody be so despicable, but that's exactly what he is in this film. He's despicable, and it really wasn't an entertaining watch.
Man, so also key standouts in this film, of course, are Gwyneth Paltrow, the young lady who I'm not sure how much I don't remember seeing her in anything before. Odessa Azion, and of course, the big surprise was Tyler, the Creator. Wow, this guy, man, I know him as a hip hop artist. I didn't know he had aspirations to act. He not only has a role in here, it's not going to say it's a significant role, but it's a role where he shows up multiple times throughout the movie. as Marty's friend. Marty Wright, based on the character of Marty Reisman with his swagger and compulsions. To Charles's point, I will just say this, man, that I had an opportunity. I didn't see it in the theater and never have. I've watched it at home a couple of times on a screening platform. And I'm so glad that I did because I think this movie, there would have been so much I would have missed had I watched it in the theater because it was just so dense. And, there's so many people that I've talked to who are turned off. I think, Charles, they think by the film, but they're really turned off by Chalamet's performance of the character. And, when you ask them that, they go, yeah, it's a good point. So you can like something, for an example. And I'm just doing a quick pivot. I got a chance to finally watch The Reckoning, the Sean P. Diddy Combs piece, and at
Oh
the
yeah.
end, you know how Netflix will put on there, well, grade this and let us know. And I put loved it, and everybody in my house was like, "What do you mean you loved it?" I said, "No, no, no, I didn't love Sean Pete Diddy Combs. I loved what 50 Cent did with the doc. And it's the same way when you get back to Marty Supreme. You don't have to, you don't clown the film because you didn't like what he did in the film. The fact that you didn't like what he did in the film shows you that he's a very effective actor and he pulled it off.
Right.
Because
Right.
that character, like yeah, I opened with it was awful. I felt like I needed a shower after I watched Marty Supreme. I was like, God, man, let me wash that Marty up off me. But I thought it was
Yeah.
a really good film, man.
You mentioned Odessa Asian, who plays. I don't even know if you can call her love interest in the film, but she's in this film. I had extensive knowledge of her because she did a movie earlier this year called Until Dawn. She's also a regular on the TV show Ghosts,
Oh,
but
okay.
uh, she was on Until in that movie Until Dawn, and I was at that promotion where I had to watch it like 8 times in a row
Oh,
all
that's
through the theater.
right. I remember that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. But the
Was that
other
this
one
year?
is that was this year. But we're also forgetting Kevin O'Leary, who plays from Shark Tank, who plays the ink pen magnet in this film. I can't
Oh,
think of
yeah.
the name of the guy. He was really actually pretty good as an actor in this film versus, his usual Shark Tank self. Playing this tycoon Marty is trying to scam out of money to finance his trip was it China? Anyway, but he was actually pretty good as well. So there's a lot of good performances in this film, and again, you're right. It because I think it makes you feel bad about the person. I think
Mhm.
that's what makes it so effective.
Right. All right, man. So now we're gonna pivot over to Avatar: Fire and Ash, and this is a movie I think that Charles, you still haven't seen this one yet.
I still have not.
All right. So what I will say, and I'll make this brief, a lot more briefer or briefer than the 3 hour and 15-minute runtime of this movie. Um, this movie reminds me a lot of Charles when we talk about where we are now with how we make superhero films and how the technology has helped these films become more believable and more better. Think of Avatar in the same way, right? So you think about the original Avatar and what James Cameron was attempting to do. And then you fast forward 2 movies later where the technology works much better. This is, using whatever technology you use. Avatar Fire and Ash is a beautiful movie to watch, Charles. It is the worlds that he creates and these shots. It's a beautiful movie to watch. Story wise, yeah, it's okay. I mean, you think about these stories much in the way you think about a Star Wars story where you're moving those along from chapter to chapter. You think about it in ways that you think of other things that are serialized in that way. Um, I was questioning going in, why has this movie got to be like 195 minutes? And when you watch it, you'll understand why, because there's lots of loops and turns. There's a lot of things that happen where, of course, none of this stuff is new, where you've got the what do they call them? The folks who are outside their world and trying to come in, not their White Walkers, but the white somethings that they're coming in, right? Or the pink. I forget the phrase, whatever the pink skins. I think it's the pink skins, right? That
Hmm.
are coming into their world. And of course, Charles, this is a world that's rich in culture and history. And of course, they want to raise it because they want to come in and one of the characters they figure out, the kid who had the mask on his face, you figure out that, well, I don't want to spoil it because that movie's still just in theaters within the week. So this is not spoilable. But let's just say that there's a breakthrough that happens and they want to figure out, of course, how to test it and figure out how we can do it for the masses. And you've got all that stuff happening. There's war afoot that they want to take over the worlds, and the folks of that land fight back. I just thought it was a really interesting film, but it's also very watchable because it's one of the few movies, and I can say this because it's always the running joke, because people always tease me like, man, Tim nodded off on all these movies. Not on every movie, right? So when a movie gets slow, yeah, I might be like, oh, I'm back. I went 3 hours and 15 minutes. I was awake for the whole 3:15 because the movie is so engrossing and there's stuff. Charles, why are you laughing, man?
I think it's I think it's hilarious that you're rating the film based on how well you stayed awake during it.
I'm sorry, man. But it kept me engaged in the story, man, because there was so much stuff going on. And so I liked the movie, man. I thought the movie worked well. Pump you, Charles. Bump you. So yeah, so I would say, Charles, at some point, I think it would be worth your watch. The technology, the story, everything in it. Not saying it's Citizen Kane or The Godfather or one of the classics, but it is a movie that is actually worth your time. And when it comes on, if it ever hits the streaming platform, please check it out. And finally, we got about 5 minutes left. There's Song Sung Blue, a movie I saw about a month ago. Charles, I'll let you go first, man. This story, based on a true story of a Milwaukee couple who formed their own Neil Diamond tribute band. Thunder and I mean, it's Lightning and Thunder,
Being in
played in
Thunder,
this
yeah.
film by Hugh Jackman and Kate Hudson. What say you about Song Sung Blue?
Let me just say this. Um, Hugh Jackman is an actor. I mean, he can do just about anything. I mean, we've seen him dance, we've seen him act. He's a martial arts master as Wolverine, and supposedly he's coming back for more. This and he's a romantic interest now, and I think in this film it's really sweet and cute. There's a lot uh, of course, it's a Neil Diamond tribute band, so you're gonna have a lot of Neil Diamond music. It's a really cute movie. I'm gonna say I enjoyed it. It's a lot of fun. It's really interesting to watch. I'm not saying this is the best cinema, and it's a couple levels above a Hallmark movie, I think. But there's some things in here. I mean, it's based on a true story, so you have to go with it, but it's really super cute, and I like Kate Hudson in here as she plays up against a guy who's significantly older than he is, and they it kind of really works, and I enjoyed it. I really did.
Man, I could not stop singing Song Sung
Song
Blue.
Blue.
Every it's like wow. And it's really funny because the most popular song by Neil Diamond, of course, everybody knows Sweet Caroline. It works. They play it in the movie one time. And that scene that they do it with, it works really, really well. It is a cute movie that I couldn't stop thinking about it, man, and to learn the true story of it all and how close the film brings to it. I'm not saying that again. I get back to this. It's not one of the best films of the year, but it is a immensely watchable movie. Charles was more critical than I, talking about to step over a Hallmark movie. Like, ooh, that's
I said a
ooh.
couple steps. I said a couple steps.
Wow, that's pretty harsh, soul brother. But nah, man. But I think we liked all these movies, and for the most part, I think all the movies that we talked about are on the filmgordon.com, with the exception of Avatar: Fire and Ash. Didn't need it. You guys didn't really need our review of that movie. Everybody else is gonna go. You got to go see it. Go see Fire. I mean, Avatar: Fire and Ash is a good movie, but you can read all those other reviews plus television recaps. Charles, you just finished up season 4 of The Mayor of Kingstown, right?
Right, that's correct.
And I
Wonderful,
am
wonderful conclusion. Not complete. Needs into the season 5.
okay. And then for me, I'm about 3 episodes finishing up Landman. Reasonable Doubt's done. We got in the month of January, we got Hijack and or recaps of Hijack, um,
Wonder Man.
Wonder Man, as well as season 3 of Shrinking. Whew, that was close. And then we've got in February, I think we're coming back with Cross, season 2 of Cross. So there's plenty of recaps that'll be done. And also, Charles, I forgot to tell you, Starfleet Academy is also gonna something we're gonna be
Ah,
recapping. So you go over to the Film Gordon, man. There's plenty of good stuff over there for you to check out, man. So Charles, any last reflections, man? We got about 2 minutes, man, before we have to wrap up the 2025 calendar, put a bow on it, man, so we can get out of here and prepare for what we're going to be doing next year. Any last reflections about this year?
I think, like you said, I really enjoyed 2025, especially we had all the anime breakout that we had this year. So that's getting in more into my geeky, nerdy stuff that I love a lot. So hopefully we'll see more of that coming next year.
Man, we lost a lot of people this year, man. Malcolm Jamal Warner was this year.
Yeah,
We lost a lot of people, man. I mean, then you talk about the golden age of Hollywood. So you're talking about Keaton's gone this year. You're talking about, trying to think, Gene Hackman this year we lost. I mean, there was a lot of people that were significant to us. And as we continue on, I'm sure that list will continue to grow. So,
that
um,
in memoriam segment at the Oscars is going to be huge.
oh yeah, it's gonna be nuts this year, man. But rest in power to the ones that we lost in 2026. I mean 2025, all the folks who we talked about Dr. Smallwood earlier, as well as Isiah Whitlock. And everybody who comes along, man, makes a contribution, man, to try to improve the world. And I want to, guys, thank you for that. Charles, man, I'm gonna wrap it up, man, and say that it's been a joy. This was we're in the middle now of podcast season number 16 of Keeping It Real with Film Gordon, man. It's nuts. 16 years we've been doing this podcast. So I want you to buckle up tonight, man. Enjoy. Stay healthy because, as we like to say, we want to talk to you, not about you. So you guys keep your head on the swivel tonight, man. It's New Year's Eve. It's crazy out there. And we'll see you hopefully in the new year. Charles, it's been a pleasure this year, bro.
Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year to you too, brother. Peace.